When a major royal event takes place in Britain, the images of public joy broadcast worldwide make it appear as though the nation is united in its adoration of the royal family. But that's not actually the case. In fact, quite a few celebs simply can't stand the royal family. J.K. Rowling's beloved series of Harry Potter novels became a worldwide phenomenon after Warner Brothers began adapting them for the big screen in the early 2000s. The films rejuvenated the British film industry, even creating a spike in UK tourism. Ironically, Daniel Radcliffe, the main star of the franchise, doesn't at all agree with how Great Britain is run. When the Daily Beast asked Radcliffe if he's a royalist, he answered, "Not at all. I just don't see the use of the monarchy, though I'm a fierce patriot." And just in case that left any room for ambiguity, he added, "I think the monarchy symbolizes a lot of what was wrong with the country." Radcliffe was one of the many people who were offended by Prince Harry's decision to wear a Nazi uniform, complete with swastika armband, to a fancy costume party in 2005. After criticizing the costume to the Daily Beast, Radcliffe emphasized, "My dad is Northern Irish and my mum is Jewish. That's working blood. Though I am not religious in the least, I am very proud to be Jewish." Shape-shifting English-American comic Tracey Ullman created a character she calls Her Royal Highness, who sounds a little something like this.
Interesting wine there.
Oh, thank you, Marr. Yes. Went to a bit of trouble.
It manages to be bland and acid, both at the same time.
And here she is as Camilla Parker Bowles.
Do you vape? No, I don't blame you. It's not a patch on the real thing.
Ullman is perhaps better known in the United States than in the United Kingdom, as she left the British Isles in the mid-1980s to conquer America. The Tracey Ullman Show debuted in 1987 and made her an instant star stateside, but it would be 30 long years before she ever returned to British television screens. Nevertheless, Ullman has remained quite vocal about how she feels the UK is run. In 1998, she sat down for an interview with the New York Times, who asked the multi-talented foreigner if she was a Republican. She answered, I am. A member of Parliament once suggested I be put in the Tower of London for saying derogatory things about the royals. There's no First Amendment in my country." The actress also said the UK should adopt the bicycling monarchy approach taken by other European countries in order to save money, and she felt royals should be able to step down instead of being forced into royal service. Why should they have to? There are loads of people willing. One of those weird cousins, no doubt. Morrissey, former lead singer of cult 80s band The Smiths, has long been considered one of the greatest living Brits. In 2006, he came in at number 2 in a BBC poll, finishing behind veteran broadcaster David Attenborough, but ahead of Paul McCartney. Another list he'll always top? The list of famous anti-royalists.
The arrogance of the British royals is staggering. Absolutely staggering.
There may be some irony there. Anyway, The Smiths' epic 1986 song The Queen is Dead is generally considered an anti-monarchy anthem, and since going solo, Morrissey's views on the royals have only hardened. In 2011, the indie icon told The Telegraph that the Queen is the, quote, ultimate dictator. He also claimed that if the British people decided tomorrow that the Queen must go, then the Queen wouldn't hesitate to turn her tanks on the British people. It would happen. It isn't just Queen Elizabeth II that Morrissey loathes. In 2014, he released a scathing letter about Prince William, who's been spotted on a hunting trip with brother Harry just days after publicly criticizing poachers in Africa. The letter read in part, William is too thick-wit to realize that animals such as tigers and rhino are only driven to near extinction because people who are precisely like himself and his brother have shot them off the map. With his signature vitriol, Morrissey added, "We can only pray to God that their hunting guns backfire in their faces." For years, Eddie Izzard was primarily known across the UK as a comedian, appearing both on stage and in public wearing makeup and women's clothing.
Prince Philip shoots things. He's head of the World Wildlife Fund and he kills animals. He's kind of a contradiction, he really is.
At the height of his stand-up comedy career, it would have seemed inconceivable that he'd one day play the part of Queen Victoria's eldest son, Bertie, Prince of Wales, as he did in Stephen Frear's 2017 drama, Victoria and Abdul. Of course, playing a royal doesn't mean that you actually approve of royals. While doing press for Victoria and Abdul, the actor told Metro, "Monarchy doesn't make sense in the 21st century." He added that he, quote, "wasn't into royalty." Judging by a comment he made to The Independent, this attitude will be central to his bid to become mayor of London in 2020. "Hereditary privilege is crazy to me. We should widen the gene pool and elect a head of state for 5 years." Colin Firth won the 2011 Academy Award for Best Actor for his brilliant performance as George VI in The King's Speech, an ironic win given his stance as a British Republican. Firth told compatriot Piers Morgan on CNN that he enjoyed playing King George, and the actor even said some kind words about the work Prince Charles was doing for the country. However, when asked if he was a monarchist, the actor let his true colors show.
I really like voting. You know, it's one of my favorite things.
But in regards to unelected bodies, he said,
It is the problem for me, yeah.
The actor was also part of the campaign for the United Kingdom to remain a part of the European Union, calling the idea of Brexit a disaster of unexpected proportions. When Brexit became a reality, the actor applied for and received Italian citizenship so that he could have the same passport as his wife and children. In America, comedian-turned-actor Russell Brand is perhaps best known for arguably unfortunate turns in films like Get Him to the Greek and a regretful remake of the 1981 classic Arthur. Meanwhile, at home in Britain, Brand is quite well known for bashing the royal family. Brand has used his YouTube show The Truths to champion a movement to end the monarchy on more than one occasion.
Sergeant Gubbins, welcome Her Majesty.
But it was the content of his book Revolution that really got the royalists raging. I mean, in England, we have a queen for f***'s sake. We have to call her things like Your Majesty, like she's all majestic. She's just a person. Your Highness? What the f*** is that? In an article that printed excerpts from Brand's book, the Daily Mail wondered if the provocative comic could sink any lower. Evidently, he could, because elsewhere in the book, Brand criticized Queen Elizabeth II's German heritage and even called her a Nazi. Her actual name is Mrs. Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. It's the most German thing I've ever heard. She might have well been called Mrs. Bratwurst-Kraut-Nazi. Lots of celebrities have said nasty things about the royal family, but the Sex Pistols really went the extra mile back in 1977. The year marked Queen Elizabeth II's Silver Jubilee, a year-long celebration of her 25 years on the throne. On June 7th, a rented boat called the Queen Elizabeth chugged down the Thames River with the Sex Pistols aboard. Ostensibly a promotion for their blisteringly sarcastic second single, God Save the Queen, the stunt also served to preemptively mock the Royal River procession planned just days later, according to Mashable. As night fell, the Sex Pistols launched into the gleeful rendition of Anarchy in the UK, just as the boat was passing the Parliament building. As the punk rockers continued with their set, police boats cornered the Queen Elizabeth, power was cut off, and the vessel had to dock. The band's manager, Malcolm McLaren, reportedly fought with police while the band slipped away into the night. The remaining passengers rioted. The event was indeed Anarchy in the UK. It's worth noting that in recent years, the Sex Pistols' former frontman Johnny Rotten, otherwise known as John Linden of Public Image Limited, has somewhat softened his stance on the royal family.
I've no personal animosity against any one of them as human beings, but as an institution, it's something that I feel I've overspent on.
The Gallagher brothers of Oasis are as famous for hating one another as they are for their 90s alternative rock classic Wonderwall and the ironically titled Don't Look Back in Anger. After lots of internal feuding, Oasis finally broke up in 2009, and Liam and Noel Gallagher have apparently been estranged ever since. The royal family may be the only thing Noel Gallagher hates more than his brother Liam. In a 2000 interview with Guitar Player, Noel said the royals were, quote, clowns. He also called for abolishing the monarchy altogether. In a 2015 roundup of Noel's snidest remarks, Rolling Stone published this certifiable doozy of a diss. I wouldn't wish the royal family dead, just seriously maimed. I'd take a couple legs off. Morrissey must be fuming that he didn't think of the soundbite first. Believe it or not, there's at least one Oscar-winning film director who thinks Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling should replace the Queen as the British head of state. You heard that right. Trainspotting director Danny Boyle made headlines after telling The Guardian that the Queen should be replaced by an elected leader, and then he suggested Rowling would be a perfect fit for the job. Elsewhere, he criticized all the attention the royal family receives. It's a ludicrous spotlight they're under. You can still have a royal family if you like, but actually have an elected head of state. Boyle was already well known in his native country after his Best Director win for 2008's Slumdog Millionaire. But he was put under the national spotlight when he was selected to direct the opening ceremony of London's 2012 Olympic Games. His work on the event received overwhelming praise, and he was even offered a knighthood, though he shocked the adoring public by turning down the honor. As he told Huffington Post in 2013,
"It wasn't my cup of tea, as we say in Britain."
The filmmaker believes the British monarchy will be abolished in his lifetime, but it's worth noting that he applauded Queen Elizabeth II for her involvement in a short film he directed for the Olympics.
So you didn't have any dialogue planned for her?
No, there was no dialogue written. She said, "Don't you think I should say something?" And I said, "Yes."
The main creative talents behind the Smiths were guitarist Johnny Marr and singer-songwriter Morrissey. While the two often disagreed about the direction of the band, it seems they did share one common bond: a seething hatred of the royal family that lords over their homeland. In a 2011 interview with NME magazine, Marr said, "I have a few problems with the monarchy, from serious to less serious." Elsewhere in the interview, he asked a rather pointed question about the Queen's general demeanor. Why does she have to deal with her subjects with such a dour face? Surely her life can't be that hard. The guitarist is apparently worried that her outside appearance reflects her personality. "I can't think of too many examples of overt empathy and compassion. They just don't come to mind." Asked if he'd accept an honor or title from Her Majesty, Marr replied, and we quote, "No." Honor Blackman built a career playing femme fatale types, and her performance as Pussy Galore in Goldfinger turned her into an icon. Well, go ahead and add her name to the list of performers who aren't afraid to rock the boat when it comes to the royal family. In 2014, she was offered the chance to become a CBE, or Commander of the British Empire. She turned down the honor, telling the Daily Mail, "They ring you beforehand to ask if you'd like to accept, and I think they were quite shocked when I declined." Then she not so subtly called out her Goldfinger co-star. "Sean Connery accepts a knighthood but never comes here, doesn't pay tax here, and supported a yes vote in the referendum. But I don't think he thinks deeply about politics." Wow. Sean Connery just got royally burned, and so did the royal family. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about the royal family are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.